FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and it is August 14th, 2017, as the year continues to fly by. A lot of things happening. One major thing you've been hearing about is the opioid epidemic in the U.S., but you haven't been hearing how it impacts the workplace, the effects that it's having on the manufacturing sector upon corporate America. And Lou Weiss, our good friend from Manufacturing Talk Radio, is with us now. Lou, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me back. It's always fun.
Yeah, so obviously we hear about the opioid epidemic, all the deaths, the ODs taking place, but we never really hear about its impact upon the workplace. What effect is it having on the workplace now, Lou?
It's huge, to say the least. And unfortunately, it's mostly what we hear about in the media, mainstream media, is that we have an epidemic. They don't really go into the level of the epidemic, the numbers of people, and the side effects of all these people who are on drugs. And to give you some examples, we were talking with Regina Mitchell, who's president of Warren Fabrication and Machining Company, and she just did recently went on a hiring spree and wound up getting 10 applicants, and for the applicants, she did some random testing. 4 of the applicants couldn't pass the drug test. 3 of the 10 couldn't pass the skills test, and 1 didn't want to take the drug test, so that left her 2. That's the kind of numbers that's coming across from many different studies that are being done throughout the United States. And the good news, bad news is that we don't have enough people in the workplace as it is right now. We're short 700,000 people in manufacturing, and Lord knows how many are people that are in manufacturing, 12.5 million of them. How many of them are on drugs? How many of them are on painkillers? And, this directly affects the manufacturing base by you have less people available to work. You also run into major safety issues. I mean, you wouldn't want to have an employee in your facility who's operating a 50-ton crane and he's stoned, whether it's illicit drugs or not illicit.
Or alcohol or anything. Anything.
Alcohol is actually easier to detect when you're taking a swig from a bottle. But, pills and marijuana are really a difficult situation to detect in the workplace. You also have issues on quality. You have a person who's stoned turning out products. You may not be up to par in being able to be stoned and operating a piece of equipment. You get the safety issues, and you have people who, again, because of workload and the fact that they're drugged, they're going to wind up having late deliveries. So it really affects the companies just tremendously. And there's probably only one solution to it, and it's not necessarily putting everybody in jail.
No,
and that doesn't.
That's a thought.
That's a whole other.
Well,
what's that?
Well, it's a thought, but Lou, I mean, she gets 10 people on a hiring binge, needs people desperately, gets 10 people. Now, the skill thing we know about the American education system has been the pits for decades now. We know that. So we expect that. No, but these people, 4 of them can't pass a drug test. You can study for a drug test, Lou. You can study and pass it, right? So what is going on with the workers of America? I assume there's some overlap, but basically half of these people walk in the door. 10 of them, 5 of them are no good because they're unqualified and they're on drugs, which is really a bad combination. It's one thing if you're qualified and on drugs, maybe you can deal with that person, but if they're unqualified and on drugs, that person is a lost cause.
Well, and like I said, it runs very deep. I heard a conversation with Lucy Levine, who is the former ambassador to Switzerland under Obama. And when she was there during her tenure, she got very well acquainted with the educational system there, which is where they get students from the age of 7th grade. They put them into work fairs so that they could see what kind of jobs are available for future, and that manufacturing isn't dark, dirty, and dangerous, and so on. And by the 9th grade, they go into a 3-day vocational training, 2-day liberal arts training, and they come out with a certification, and they get jobs easily. They don't have to go to college. They could. And Susie Levine is now running around the country selling the idea of the Swiss educational system that includes broadening the scope of manufacturing and trying to correct the stigma and style of the word manufacturing. And that is that here in this country, if you don't go to college, you're a dummy. And if you do go to college, you come out, keep getting a job, and going back and living with mommy and daddy. So I think it's the state of Washington or Oregon that's going to implement the Swiss system. And Swiss has an unemployment rate of 2.1. And they do have a strong manufacturing sector. I dare say they don't have a drug problem like we do here. And part of our drug problem, just to switch topics a little bit, is the fact that we are now on the course of liberalizing laws in the United States to allow drug use for medical as well as recreational issues. So this is such a multifaceted problem. And unfortunately, and I've said this many times on this very topic, unfortunately, if we're all waiting for Washington to fix this or any other major problems, we got a long wait.
Ain't going to happen. They can't fix the budget. Look, Lou, they can't fix the budget. They can't fix anything. They can't get anything done. And we're experiencing the limitations and the reach and the abilities of government in this particular era to really get anything done. And we're just going to have to take things into our own hands, right?
And that is to bring it down to the state level, because the states are doing great. Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing, Manufacturing Talk Radio is going to be doing an event in 2 weeks with NJMET and the NJIT, which is the New Jersey Institute of Technology. And it's all about these topics. And the state level is doing a good job. The governors are doing a good job. And they just need a little bit more push because, like you and I both said, Washington's not getting it done. They'll be lucky if they get anything done.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It really is terrible. So I like the Swiss system. So the Swiss system is kind of going back to the old-fashioned union-type apprenticeship program, right?
Yeah, it's and Germany has been doing it. I don't think Germany ever left it. They've been doing that for years, and we participated in New York City at the German embassy about 4 or 5 months ago, where it was a cross-international continental discussion. The Germans telling us Americans how we should restructure our educational system, and it made a lot of sense. It was all based on, the German and the Swiss system are very similar, and I could probably assume that nothing has been done, and it's unfortunate.
It really is. It's a shame because that, this thing that everyone has to go to college and incur $200,000 or $100,000 worth of debt to get through it and then not be able to find a job anyway. Well, there's 700,000 high-paying, high-quality jobs in manufacturing available just for the asking effectively. Yeah, you got to get some training to do it. But, that seems to me a real crime.
The average manufacturing job in a manufacturing environment in this country right now is $77,000.
And that's whether whether there's a union involved or not, or what?
That's the average, union or no union.
Wow.
It's a huge number, and if you go into some of the more skillful and maybe a little bit more dangerous, you can become an underwater welder, and you'll earn double that.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of range. So it goes from $50,000 to almost $200,000. I had the good fortune of speaking to a foreman from an oil rig team, and this gentleman makes $250,000 a year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oil patch. Yeah.
He's a hard hat, glove wearing
leathernecks. They call them. They call them leathernecks.
Exactly. And they make huge money. So if I want to go become a school teacher and go to college for that, I'll come out, I'll earn $35,000, $40,000, and maybe by the time I'm 65, I'll be earning $60,000, $70,000.
Let me give you some numbers here, Lou. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported a median personal income of $865 per week for all full-time workers in 2017. And 800, just call it 900, that's $45,000 per year, $46,000 per year, almost 47. And here, you're talking that an average factory worker, 70,000, that's 40, what is that? They're making 20,000 more. That's almost 50% more income. Yeah, and exactly. They're not all dirty jobs like Mike Rowe, where you're like going into a tank and scrubbing it out. It's not all like that, right?
Yeah, it is not.
Yeah.
And I come back to the point that it's really very significantly up to the parents to take control of this and not be the elitists that some are, and recognize that you have to do what's best for your kid, adult, and get the best kind of education for him. Not everybody is a college material people.
Yeah.
And to force them into that, you're going to... Listen, 40% of the people that go to college today, this is fact, 40% of people that go to college do not graduate.
Yeah.
It says it all right there.
Yeah, that's it.
That means they unwillingly went to college, failed, and now it's 2, 3, 4 years later.
Wow.
Doesn't sound like a big benefit to me.
No, of course not. And they often have debt that they've accrued during those that failed academic attempt at an academic degree, and they could have been in an apprentice program, getting paid to learn the finer points of manufacturing, and then they could have been out there in the workforce making 50% more nearly than the median income earner out there, and no excuse for that. Hey, Lou, we got to run now, but tell us where we find you and where we find Manufacturing Talk Radio.
Manufacturing Talk Radio is on the internet, and you can find us by mfgtalkradio.com.
All right.
There's over 200 shows there.
And we will have a link to your site in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Email me and Lou at kl@kerrylutz.com. The Twitter feed is at Kerry Lutz. The Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. Lou, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.